Okay, so let's talk about bench pressing. This is going to be a multi-series group of videos. There's so much to think about when you're bench pressing. There's no way I'm gonna wanna put it all in one video. I'm gonna start first with setting up the bench press, and then we'll move on to some other things. I will probably end up with a video at the end called Things I Forgot to Say, because there's just so much to say. So look for that. All right, so the first thing is how to set up. And the number one thing I'm gonna talk about is benching safely. If you're not gonna have a spotter with you at all times, which I never do, I'm here in my basement alone and it's perfectly safe because I use my safety arms. I'm gonna show you how to set these up and where they should be, and then I'm gonna remove it so you can actually see me without having this in the way. So the idea is you want to set it so that when you bench, you can, if you can't get the weight back up. Now, obviously the goal is not to fail, but if you do, you need to feel completely safe knowing that the bar is just gonna rest right there. So here it is, you come down, oh, I can't push it up, look at that. I just leave it right there, and I scoot off the side, and I'm free, okay? You don't want these up so high that you can't touch the bar to your chest though. You always want to be able to touch the bar all the way to your chest. If you have it up too high and you're here, no good. You also don't want them down so low that the bar is still crushing you. So set these at the right height so that they will catch the bar, and you can just like leave it sitting there. And always test that out with an empty bar each time. I know where mine go now, but still with my warm-up sets, when I just use the bar, I just test it out just so I'm 100% sure and confident in their placement. Okay, so that's the first thing. And now I'm going to remove this so that you can see me freely. Okay, so the next thing as far as setup is where you're gonna put your face and your hands. So when you're laying down, you should be looking directly up at the bar with the bar right above your nose, anywhere between your lips and your eyes right here. You don't want to be down here, right? It's gonna be, first of all, really awkward trying to get the bar off of there. You also don't want to be, imagine the bench is longer. Obviously I wouldn't bench with my head off here, but if it was longer, I wouldn't want to be way back here. You're gonna be hitting the rack. There's your bench. So set up so that when you look up, your eyes are looking just on this side of the bar and your nose is right under the bar, okay? So that's how you'll know you're in the right spot there. Okay, next, where do you put your hands? It's gonna take a little bit of plug and play. Not everybody's gonna have the exact same spacing. I'm gonna tell you a good starting point, and that is you wanna put your hands so that at the bottom of the lift, when the bar is on your chest, your forearm is perpendicular to the barbell, okay? So you don't, if you're in super narrow, it's not gonna be very comfortable. It's gonna be way more tricep-y. It's gonna be way harder. Way, way wide out here. It's gonna be harder on your shoulders, somewhere in between there. So start just a little wider than shoulder width. Videotape yourself from the front and from the side so that you can see it. And when you're at the bottom, you want your forearms to be perpendicular to the barbell. Okay, then let's talk about more setting up. Once you have your grip width, you want to think about where you're actually going to grab it with your hand. You don't want to be grabbing the bar here at the top with your fingers. You want to place the bar here, across this way, down just sitting above your thumb, like that. Down there, like that, okay? Another thing to think about is your wrists. You don't want your wrists coming back this way. You want your wrists, your knuckles to stay straight up, pointing up at the ceiling. And putting the bar down here by your thumb is gonna help with that. So the bar goes here, wrap around, your knuckles are facing up at the ceiling. All right, so we have the bench set up right. You also might notice that I have my feet up on this platform. It's because I'm super short. You don't want your legs dangling in the air. If you are tall enough that you can reach the floor comfortably, and by reaching the floor, you can be either flat-footed, or you could be up on your toes a bit like this, but you don't want to be dangling. You don't want to just have the tippy toes touching the floor, because you're actually going to use your legs, and we'll talk about that in a second. Actually, let's just talk about it now, since that's where I went here. So your feet are going to be firmly on the ground, And you want to think about driving your toes through the fronts of your shoes. So bench press is a move for your chest, but you can use your whole body. And the way you use that, your legs, is called leg drive. And you want to think about this. If you're pushing your toes through the fronts of your shoes, it's going to move you that way. So if I'm holding the bar, it's not going to move me that way. But if I wasn't holding the bar and I push through the toes of my shoes, I'm sliding that way. And you want to do that while you're lifting. And so you do that as you set up. Now again, I want to tell you, I realize I'm giving you a lot of information and you're not going to do this all the first time or even the first 10 times you bench press. You're going to work on each of these things a little bit at a time and get better and better at them and eventually put them all together. Okay, so you're here, you have your grip width, your knuckles are facing forward, you're here. Okay, now watch my legs. Pushing through the fronts of my toes, fronts of my shoes that way. I'm squeezing my butt as hard as I can. Your butt needs to stay on the pad, but you squeeze it really, really hard. Your abs are braced. Feet that way, butt squeezed, abs braced. Let's come up to the top of my butt here. If I move my sweatshirt, you can see I have this arch. As far as power lifters are concerned, I have a very, very tiny arch. People do much bigger arches. You do not need to have a big arch. I would suggest having some arch, and here's the reason why. When you're flat, like this, and you're benching, your shoulder can come forward like this. Can you see that? If you have an arch, you have taken your shoulders to make that arch, and you've put your shoulder blades together and down. So you think about bringing your shoulder blades together and down, and that's what creates that shelf. And this is going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to keep your shoulder in the most stable position to keep it safe. And it's also going to put you in a really strong position to be able to push more weight. It almost sets you up on a little bit of a decline. So, from the bottom up, feet are firm on the floor, toes are pushing through your shoes, butt is squeezed, abs are braced, shoulder blades together and down. Hands are about shoulder width apart, bar is just over your thumb, knuckles are pointing forward. And now you're set up to bench.